extends the baseball conversation another week around here. Certainly with the Ravens losing to the Raiders 28-27 on Sunday. We will be at Buffalo Wild Wings in Owings Mills on Tuesday night for a viewing party for Game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 of the wild card, which is all in one night and all wrapped into one little bow in Toronto as the Orioles try to get to Arlington on Thursday and Friday for Game 1 of the ALDS. Our old pal and former Major League Baseball outfielder and prodigy himself, we welcome Brian McCray back onto the program from the great state of Missouri and Kansas City, where, BMAC, you've been at this a long time. The lights are usually out in October in Kansas City, but to see the lights come on the last couple of years, it was a beautiful thing, but now you guys sit on the outside with your nose pressed up against the glass, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of bittersweet that we won't be having postseason baseball in Kansas City, but I think we'll sleep a little bit better in October and get to relax, and people will save a little money and hopefully recharge for 2017.
It is a recurring theme, right? Like the money part of it and how much dough it costs to ticket holders and time. And you know what I find, and certainly with the Orioles this week, is you don't know when the games are. You don't know what time the games are. If you have tickets for the game, it could be at 1, it could be at 4, it could be at 7, it could be at 9. And it really does create some sort of civic havoc. It's good havoc to have, no doubt about it. But for Kansas City the last couple of years, what happened this year to them? Before we get going with the rest of this, they were sort of the odds-on. Everybody still loved them. Nothing seemed to work so well this year, and all the parts that were firing so well for 24 months sort of went back to 2-3 years ago where it's like they were finding their way all year.
Well, I think the biggest thing was injuries. You had key guys out for long periods of time. Alex Gordon, Moustakas missed pretty much the whole year. Lorenzo Cain. When you have guys like that out and then they're not productive when they come back, it puts a lot of strain on everybody else to pick up the slack, and they weren't able to do it. They got back into contention in July and early August. They had a good little run, but they kind of ran out of gas. And then Wade Davis got hurt. Herrera wasn't as effective in the bullpen. Luke Hochevar was out for the year. So you add all those things up, and it's a recipe for disaster for a ball club that needs to be clicking right with their key components. They didn't have it all year.
Well, and I guess it really sheds even more light for those of us, you and I, pushing 50 years old, with some sort of perspective, like in going to Toronto on Tuesday night for the Orioles. This has been a nice little run, 3 and 5 years. That doesn't happen most places that aren't the Yankees. Certainly the Cubs have been trying for 100 years, and although it feels like they've won 3 World Series already this summer, they haven't won anything. And now they have to go and prove that. This is tough business. This is hard to do, and I think it even it creates more energy around Kansas City as a baseball town to say, look at how much fun last year was. This isn't a whole lot of fun watching the Rangers on TV.
Well, I think the big thing is fans shouldn't take the success for granted. And I think that in Kansas City, that's not going to happen anymore. And in other cities, I think you're seeing fans embrace the team for the short period of time, that window where they have a chance to win and go as far as they can, embrace it, understand that it could be short-lived, and most times it is, and, get caught up in the wave of emotion and have fun with it. But, it's tough to win, and it's tough to win consistently. The Giants are a funny story because they're on the every other year deal. When they win a World Series and then don't even qualify for the postseason the next year, they've kind of given their fans a good little break and been able to win 3 titles. But it doesn't work that way, and it's an anomaly that they're able to do what they've done in San Francisco. So just enjoy it and understand it's going to be short-lived most times.
It's amazing because you come from this incredible baseball family, and everybody's familiar with your father. And, man, your father played in a lot of postseason baseball, and when I was a kid, right? 1970, I wasn't around for that, but I remember, all the parts of 72 and then 76, all that Royals run every year. Your dad got postseason at bats, and yet you spent a decade in baseball trying to get to this point, and now they've expanded this thing, and you have this wild card thing where it feels like the wild card's not a playoff, but for me, now that we're in the game and we're going to sit here for 48 hours and talk about it leading up to it, I can't imagine a more gut-wrenching scenario than games 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 all into one game. And we played in this game 2 years ago. Hell, I sat with you that night. I was in your place in Kansas City when the Orioles beat the Rangers that night. We watched the game together. I mean, it really is a cool thing that baseball is added, because I know in certain scenarios it would have given your career more life and your August and Septembers more life, that if you could have just tried to get to this game. And we've seen the people that win this game do a lot of damage in October.
Yeah, it's a twist that I didn't like at first because I'm a traditionalist, but with more teams in the league, with football, college and pro football coming into the forefront in late August and September, you have to create more interest for more cities. And I think that the wild card has done that, kept fans engaged in their team and watching the standings. And for the teams that get into the wild card game, they've played a playoff game pretty much the last 3 weeks of the season.
And we always see that they're playing their best baseball. I mean, right now, Toronto and the Orioles, the Mets and the Giants, I mean, they've all had their struggles, all 4 of them, all during the course of the year.
But they all look like they're trending up right now.
Yeah, and 2 of them are going to go home, and I don't feel like it's all that punitive or unfair. I think it's kind of cool, quite frankly, and I think it's kind of cool that Buck Showalter's going to have the opportunity to sort of throw the kitchen sink at 9 innings in Toronto on Tuesday night. How you feeling about this game, and how you feeling about the Orioles and the Blue Jays right now?
Well, I think that being at home, the Blue Jays have the advantage of the crowd and the energy. We saw that last year in their playoff series, how loud it can get there and how the players fed off that. So for the Orioles, you have to take the crowd out of it, try to score early, and, just get that crazy scene. You don't want that to happen like it did last year, and it was just kind of snowball affected. And I really think that the Blue Jays playing at home is probably the biggest advantage of any team in the American League. That home field advantage that they have there playing in the Dome.
Yeah, and you remember, when it was crazy back there, back in your era, when your career began, and I certainly remember all that. I said the last time I saw a playoff game in Toronto that I was there was watching Joe Carter circle the bases as the fireworks went off, and, everybody was partying out on Yonge Street, and I think you know what I'm talking about. You went through that in Kansas City last year. I saw that parade. That was not a small parade you guys had out there. But for Toronto to have sort of recaptured this, and Kansas City to have recaptured this, Brian, you got to admit, you put the television on the last month, and you've seen what Camden Yards looks like here. And I know you and I have known each other a quarter of a century. Jeff Montgomery, you guys used to come in here. It was full every night. Even if you got family and friends tickets back when you played, they were like gold. Now, we're really kind of a conflicted city on baseball, and Angelos' 25 years here have really wreaked havoc in the amount of true interest, even in this baseball game on Tuesday night. The city's not all painted up orange, Brian. Not the way it is when the Ravens play a wild card game.
The good thing is that they may be, playing on the road, because that would be embarrassing to have a game and see a bunch of empty seats. And I would suspect that if the game was played in Baltimore, there would be a lot of empty seats and people not interested in this wildcard game.
Well, I mean, I went online Sunday when it still existed in Baltimore, and there were plenty of good seats available for $50 or $60. If you wanted to go to the game, you could. So I'm not disputing that, but I think the ALDS, people, the next step up, though, Brian, and you know this from your day, you want a ticket for an Oriole game? Great, it's $15. You want a ticket to see the Orioles play the Rangers in Game 3 of the ALDS? It's $80. And that's a whole different level of investment, I think, for fans. And I think the money part of it, from a baseball perspective, that's been part of what's chased fans away here, is that it's not super cheap to go to a ball game anymore. It's a couple $100 if you want to take a family of 4 to a ball game and sit somewhere, in the rim of the stadium and have a couple of hot dogs, a couple beers, a couple sodas. That's changed, but in Kansas City, people haven't minded paying that the last couple of years, and they've become, quite frankly, re-engaged in a way that I think Angelos always thought this place would be, that everyone would just come back. In Kansas City, kind of, sort of, everybody just came back, right?
They came back, but there's also more of a friendly relationship between the team, the ownership group, and the city than I feel there is in Baltimore, and they don't have a team in the region, the Nationals, to contend against. I just think there's some factors there that work against the Orioles, and Peter Angelos may be the biggest one.
Well, and then the other issue is that they're going to have to go and play this game on the road anyway, and then you have the Rangers waiting, the Red Sox and the Indians. Boy, it's hard not to like the Red Sox right now, right? I mean, they have trended in all the right directions with, the need to win for Big Papi, and the pitching's coming along, and the hitting feels like it's not going to take any appreciable amount of time off. They hit well, they hit for average, they move guys along, they hit doubles, they take bases, they take pitches. They do a lot of really good things that, I was on the Red Sox bandwagon in April and May and June saying I still think they're the best team in the end. When the marathons run, they were the best team. Now over the next 2.5 weeks, if you're giving me $1 and saying bet it on a team in the American League, I'd bet it on the Red Sox right now.
I'm a Rangers guy. I just like what they have done in their whole body of work, and I see a scenario where the Rangers are going to win it all.
Well, give me that scenario. What do you love about them? Obviously, getting the top of the rotation together and getting the pitching right, that's where – and they have been a quiet 95-win team. No one is – look, the Cubs have taken all the oxygen out of the whole league, right? Everybody talks about the Cubs because they ran away and hid. The Rangers weren't all that far behind, and the Rangers certainly played good baseball down the stretch.
And they pitched a lot better than I thought they would pitch, not only in the rotation but in the back end of the bullpen. That's something that I thought they were going to struggle doing, and they've really done a good job to where, you get a lead in the 6th inning and it's over the way the Rangers have been playing. So they can hurt you in different ways. They have power, they have speed, a good defensive team also. So I just think that I can see the Red Sox and Rangers playing in the CS and the Rangers going on to the World Series.
Look, you played in the era where guys went nuts, were putting all sorts of crazy things into their body to hit 50, 60 home runs. But this era of baseball with this home run or strikeout, the boom or bust. I mean, I look down the Rangers lineup and say, yeah, they got 7, 8 guys hit 20, 25 home runs. They also strike out a lot. Same thing with the Orioles. We call it beer league softball here. I do think there's some allowance made for walks and doubles and moving around and stealing bases. The Orioles were maybe the slowest team in the history of Major League Baseball. I don't think there's ever been more of a beer league softball approach where guys have 30 home runs and only drove in 80 runs. It is a different style of baseball we're seeing again in this 5-year period of time for what the value of a home run versus a strikeout is in baseball.
Well, you see that plays out well in the regular season, that type of ball. But in the postseason, when you're not facing a 4th or 5th starter that much, you're not facing the middle mop-up relievers, you're facing quality arms, you're going to see a lot of strikeouts in games, and I don't think you're going to see a lot of runs scored. So teams that can manufacture some runs, and I think the Rangers can do that also. So that's why I like them a little bit better, because I think they can play some small ball and beat you 3-2 or 4-1, where the Orioles, it's going to be feast or famine. They're going to slug it out and get some 3-run home runs, or they can get shut down by good pitching and strike out 12 times.
The Jimenez thing's the damnedest thing, isn't it? I mean, I know you've been watching him for a decade like everyone else, and you guys got a little dose of him when he was in Cleveland as well in Kansas City. The fact that he's going to pitch in the biggest game of the year, really, I don't know if it's a testament to him. Certainly it is to Buck, to the organization, all the money wasted on him and how many opportunities he's blown. But over the last month, he has been their best pitcher, and I think that's you can't argue that based on statistics because it all sits there. But it's the damnedest thing with these guys that have 2 switches. Like Randy Johnson had that in the beginning of his career. So did Pedro Martinez to some degree. You knew they had that 8-inning, 2-hit, 12 strikeout in them, but you're just trying to coax it out of them on a more consistent basis. Some guys figure it out, and some guys sort of eternally struggle with it, right?
Well, I don't know what to make of him, and he's thrown in the last month and a half as good as he's thrown at any point in his career when he was lights out, 4, 5, 6 years ago or so. But you put him in a playoff game, and it's a coin flip. Which guy's going to show up? Where is his mindset going to be? Is he going to try to do more because it's a playoff game and not just pitch the way he's pitched the last month? I wouldn't bet on him throwing well. I think he may try to do too much instead of staying right where he's been. because of the hype of a playoff game and put too much pressure on himself to go out there and try to dominate.
He is Brian McCray, our old pal from Kansas City, and you can follow him at KC Sluggers out on Twitter. He's the general manager of the KC Sluggers. But tell me what you guys do at the Sluggers, and I know you just took a gig out in Columbia with the University of Missouri. Man, you're a baseball lifer. I don't think there's any doubt about it. You, your old man, your family, all of you, and your brother too. But for you with the college baseball game, that you've fallen in love with that part of this, right? Not the MLB part, but the part down the pipeline.
Yeah, I like to develop our kids, teach them about the game. So with the Kansas City Sluggers organization, what I do in the summers and the fall, we have teams age 8U all the way up to 17U, and we just tour around the Midwest, put them on college campuses, the older kids, and let them play in front of college scouts and pro scouts and learn the game and try to get them into school and have baseball pay for their education. Here at the University of Missouri, I just took a position here 2 months ago. I'm technically a student manager, but I'm an assistant coach, and I'm finishing up school. Have about 35 hours left, and I'll take classes here at Mizzou, and I'm going to be in the SEC and learn the D1 game. I was an NAIA coach for the last 4 years, and now I'm learning how things are run and compliance and all those kind of NCAA laws that I need to learn if I want to continue at this level. And it's something I like to do. I like this age. I think I can make a better impact on young baseball players at this age than I can in pro ball. And, I think there's some mentorship that kids need. That's something that's lacking. And I enjoy doing it. I enjoy being around. And this has been fun for me coaching college ball the past 5 years.
Hey, you're going to get to know I-70 from Higginsville to Boonville, right? I mean, that.
Oh, I got it down. Got it down packed. An hour and 45 minutes I can get from KC to Columbia.
Not legally though, right?
Going 75. Yeah.
Okay, Brian McCray joining us here from Kansas City. All right, National League, bro. We've heard about your love of the Texas Rangers, and we hope to see them this weekend in the American League Division Series. In the National League, it's the Nats and the Dodgers, and now the Cubs waited out. But boy, it's hard not to like the Giants this time of year, even though they collapsed. I mean, it was an epic collapse. But it's hard to bet against Bumgarner. It's hard to bet against their pitching. It's hard to bet against Bochy, and certainly no one's nuts are going to shrivel up here in October if they got to go into Wrigley Field on Friday night and have to figure it out. The Giants, for me, watch out for them if they win on Wednesday night.
Yeah, it's a big if though, because they're going to be a team that you don't want to play, but they may not be able to beat the Mets. And Cueto, Baumgartner, those two in a long series, I like their chances. In a short series, I'm not too sure. So, I'd rather see the Giants in a 5-game series than a 7-game series. So I think that advantage goes to the Cubs.
Look, you never played in one of these, right? I mean, these wild card, one game, all the marbles. I mean, this is where managers love to manage and work the bench and work the angles. And, both of these teams for the Orioles and the Blue Jays will have 2 starting pitchers kind of ready to go. It's a different kind of ball game, right? When you have Syndergaard and Bumgarner out there, knowing there's no tomorrow, it creates a different kind of managing. And I think every run becomes like 10 runs, right? They're like touchdowns.
Yeah, and each inning could be a shutdown inning to where you may have to make a move that you might not make in a regular season game. How long do you go with your starter if he's struggling? Who is first out of the pen? What are you playing for, 1 run here? You're going to play for a big, how many chances are you going to get against an ace? So your mindset changes. And you'll see some managers do some weird things, like the Royals 2 years ago in that wild card game against the A's. They bought Ventura out of the bullpen. He had never thrown out of the bullpen. Ned Yost brings him in. Ventura gives up a big home run. The Royals are down. They were able to come back and win that game and go on to the World Series. But you saw something there in Ned Yost, panic mode maybe. He brought a starter in that had never been a reliever, and it backfired.
Brian McCray joining us at KC Sluggers out in Kansas City, as well as on the staff now at the University of Mizzou. All right, Cubs, you spent some time there. Any thoughts at all about someone knocking them off? And I've said to everyone all summer, and I haven't had you on, so I'll say it to you. My listeners are tired of hearing it. You better win game one if you're the Cubs, right? I mean, the thing slides down the mountain if somehow the Giants or the Mets come in there and steal the first game.
They're still the Cubs. And that's the thing that scares me. I'm rooting for them. I want to go to Chicago. I want to see postseason baseball there. But until they do something and get to the World Series, something that they haven't done since 1945, they're still the same old Cubs. And I think that mentality is still on the back of everybody's mind, even though they may not say it. You have that negativity. You have the things that have happened. Going back to Bartman, and you are always reminded of the bad things that have happened in Cub history. At some point, they're going to create some good memories, but I don't think this is the year that's going to happen.
Really? All right, you're betting against them. Who do you like in the National League?
There's too many factors in play that look like it's a slam dunk that they're going to the World Series, and I just don't feel that it's going to happen this year.
They got to win 8 of them. That's what they got to do in the next couple of weeks. How do you feel about the Nationals or the Dodgers? I mean, they have, again, quietly had really nice campaigns all the way through, especially the Dodgers, who sort of surged at the end, and the Nationals that kind of held on, even with Strasburg out, and now they've lost their catcher. I mean, Dusty's done a real nice job there.
I think that those teams have a chance to beat the Cubs. I think either of those teams, they're tired of hearing about the Cubs, for one. The target is on the Cubs. They're playing good baseball. They have starting pitching that can match up with the Cubs starting pitching. And they're not scared of the Cubs. Some of these teams that the Cubs were beating up on most of the year were scared of them. The Giants aren't scared of the Cubs. The Dodgers and the Nats are not scared. They want to take on that challenge.
Well, the Mets certainly had no problem last year with it. They would just go back and say, here we go again.
They were
right?
able to beat them last year. So I think that the Cubs it looks like they're going to waltz into the World Series, and I don't see that happening. I could see them losing in the first round.
All right, man. Well, I'll be watching this week. You'll be watching this week. Congrats on the new gig out at Mizzou, and, make sure you're getting economic gas mileage out there on the highway. And I hope to get out to Kansas City sometime soon and see you. Tell you what, man, we were all Chiefs fans on Sunday. Now, what the hell happened there, man? I mean, they didn't
show up.
Whew, man, that was bad.
They got punched in the mouth real quick, and it was over.
Whew, very, very quickly.
I've never seen a Chiefs team in recent history be that bad in a big game like that.
Yeah, where you just went to bed at 8:30 and said, good night, this one's over.
Yeah, it was over. I met some friends out, and before we could order food, we're like,
it was 22
I'm leaving at halftime.
Hey, man, rest up. It's we got plenty of playoff baseball ahead here in the next couple weeks. Always great visiting with you, Brian. Thanks for coming on, man.
All right, Nestor, thank you very much. Take it easy, and good luck, Orioles.
One of my favorite people. There he is, Brian McCray out in Kansas City, Missouri, joining us here. Decade playing the game. Of course, worked at ESPN for a long period of time. Now works with young people in developing baseball, much like Cal Ripken. I mean, just has devoted his life to teaching people baseball, which I think is pretty cool. He teaches me baseball every time we get together as well. You can find me out in the Bahia Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We will be at Buffalo Wild Wings and Owings Mills on Tuesday night for a viewing party. Orioles, Blue Jays for all the marbles, or at least the marbles to get you to Arlington on Thursday. Buffalo Wild Wings and Owings Mills, like we are every Monday night, for our best seat in the house, as well as our wing eating challenge at halftime. Come on out and eat those spicy wings, man. Woo! Sometimes makes my nose run just smelling them. Just they're hot. But there's a $25 gift card and 3 bottles of sauce, and we always have fun. And we always get people that want to participate and have a good time with it. So every Monday night at halftime, drop by Owings Mills and have some fun with us. The morning newspaper reaches your email inbox at 7 a.m. every morning. It's powered up by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. And last but never least, any breaking news happens first on the WNST text service. That is powered up by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. And Dennis will be driving you home on Thursday afternoon, hopefully getting you ready for some more Oriole baseball on Thursday in Arlington. I am planning on making that trip deep into the heart of Texas. And, hopefully the Orioles can get this thing done on Tuesday night. We'll be out at Buffalo Wild Wings and Owings Mills. Join us. Nasty at WNST.net reaches me. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on Facebook Live, as well as on our WNSTV YouTube channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.